Well, good morning. This is a pleasant surprise. I'm walking in full daylight. It's actually almost 9 o'clock, but the reason for that is that the walk today is fairly short to Fuente de Cantos. I think it's 21 kilometres, and my accommodation won't be ready till about 3 o'clock, so I can just dawdle today and oh yes, that's a ham shop behind me. I can dawdle today and get there in plenty of time. Good night's sleep. I should say that Monestario, and we just passed that shop there, is known for its jamon, J-A-M-O-N. They're hams. You can buy leg ham and cured meats here. And in fact, I think on the other side of town, though I didn't attend, there is a jamon museum, a museum of ham. So anyway, and of course, jamon, J-A-M-O-N, should not be mixed up with jabon. So jamon and jabon. Jabon is soap, J-A-B-O-N, jamon, jabon. So yeah, small tidbit there. So just walking out of town here, pleasant day, probably a little more grey cloud around. And I think they're forecasting some showers tonight, and we might actually get some rain over the next few days, so we'll see how we go. Other than that, feeling good after yesterday's walk, and keen to get back out into the quiet again. I don't think I'll see any other pilgrims or walkers today because I've left so late, but that's fine. That's not an issue. Okay, I've got plenty of food in my pack, and being a Sunday in Spain, apart from that jamon place back there, you'll find most of the facilities, shops definitely will be closed today, so you've got to carry everything, otherwise you could starve. Just one quick update. No sooner did I say everything's shut, apart from obviously the ham store, there is a churros store that's was just open there, a little stall there, so I picked up 2 churros, obviously the low-fat version, and that'll definitely keep me going for a while. Ciao. Well, this is road walking of sorts, but it's still quite pleasant. We're off the road here, so it's pretty safe, and there's a well-walked trail here in the edging up to this stone wall here. So yeah, quite nice. Just on the path, you'd be happy to know that I missed the turn off, and I went about half a kilometre before I sort of started realising, hang on, I don't think I'm on the right trail here, so I had to double back. Anyway, we're back on the Via de la Plata again. Just see stone walls and grazing land, donkeys, horses and sheep. Saw an orchard of fig trees. It'll be a very good climate for figs here. But yeah, this is lovely. I got it all to myself too, pretty much. Though I think there were some locals out today doing some Sunday exercise. I mentioned the other day that, I mean, obviously when I arrived in Spain, I found it very dark when I left it in Seville at about 7:15 in the morning. Now, I do know the history here because I've walked in Spain before, but just to just to bring you into the picture, so to speak. Yes, Spain is sort of, their clocks are forward 1 additional hour, and the background behind that was that in the early 1940s, during the war, Spain was considered somewhat neutral, but I think there was some sort of relationship of sorts, whatever, between Franco and Hitler. And Hitler travelled to Spain by train, and they actually had a meeting in a train carriage. I think it was 1940, 1941 or something. Now, there wasn't much that Franco or Spain could offer Hitler at that stage. Spain was still recovering from a civil war that I think ran through to the 1930s or whatever. So what they could give them was a change in their time zone. So effectively, to make it convenient for Hitler and his, I suppose, growing empire at that stage through France and the like, was that there was an agreement that they would align to the time zone that Germany was in. And if you see Germany, right, it extends very much from the east, from say Berlin right through. So the time zone here where I'm walking at the moment is exactly the same time zone as there exists in Berlin, which is miles to the east, a long way to the east. In fact, I think that same time zone covers countries that are further to the east. So really, without getting too confusing here, 7 o'clock in the morning here, in terms of comparison to what I have at home and the like, is really equivalent to 6 o'clock in terms of light. So that's why when you get up here, if it's a little darker in the mornings, it's darker because the time zone is, the clocks are out by essentially 1 hour. For whatever reason, and it's their choice, the Spanish have agreed to hang in there with it, though obviously World War II is a long way behind us. So that's the history there. So because of that meeting in the train, you've got to get up as a pilgrim here, as a walker here for big days. You've got to get up and walk and find your way via flashlight or torchlight with rabid farm animals nipping at your testicles. So that's the history behind it. And you just get on and make do with it as you do. Okay, ciao. This is quite an imposing view here as we're sort of coming down from this rise. How essentially the land is just opening up in front of us there. From here it looks relatively flat. We'll find out, no doubt, but yeah, it looks like we've got essentially some plains that we'll be heading through over the next, what would that be, a couple of days, I think, definitely. Some very dry areas there. I have to double check this as well, and I probably should have done this. I think we are in a different region now. I think this region is called Extremadura, which in a way is quite a confronting name, but I imagine they do get some weather here that's fairly intense at times. Well, we've just left the district of Monestario, and the road quality is not as the path quality is not as good, but it's still very good, right? But you can see now we're just into open fields now, and expanses of nothing for a while. just taking a shot back from where we've come. So obviously through those hills. I think we saw those hills when we were coming in yesterday, actually. So as I said, fairly sparse, well, not sparse, vast grazing lands and whatever. There's a fence here in front of me that's been left open. I did check, I just stopped for a break before, just a short break. Yes, we are in Extremadura. So, in fact, we were in Extremadura, even Monestario is in Extremadura. So I slept through the transition between Andalusia and Extremadura, so apologies for that one. But yeah, we'll just close this gate and continue on. The vista up here is excellent, very Meseta-like. I wonder if that is Fuente de Cantos there, just almost directly straight ahead. Seems a little close, but I might be wrong. But yeah, just rolling. Obviously summer's over, so or summer's just completed, so these are very burnt off at the moment. We're protected here by the hill behind me, but yeah, quite a strong breeze or wind has blown up. We have arrived in Fuente de Cantos. It's very quiet here. Very few cars. So we're just making our way into the centre. You might just see just over the top there was the local church. Greetings from Fuente de Cantos. I'm at Plaza Constitution, just next to the church, which is just there behind me. I took a photo of that before, and you can see it's a happening place here. There's not much going on at the moment. I think people are, I think they have lunches and whatever on Sundays together, which, to be honest, is probably a pretty good thing, right? It's probably a good community type exercise. It's now 2:30. I've got check-in at 3 o'clock. Interesting story there. It's actually an Airbnb check-in, so it's the first Airbnb I've booked on this trip. I'll give you the reason for that, but the Airbnb chap reached out to me the other day and said, well, what time would you like to, what time do you think you'll arrive? And I said, probably about 2 o'clock, just taking it easy, which shouldn't be a problem. I should be there by 2. He came back to me and said, look, unfortunately there's only guaranteed check-in from 3 p.m. I said, well look, that's cool, I'll just wait out here in town until 3, that's not a problem. And then he said to me, you know, the previous guests are a honeymoon couple. To which I'm thinking, well, why are you telling me this? Now I'm getting a little nervous, thinking, was all the glassware broken, or you know, the chandeliers are broken or something. In any case, he sort of implied that there might be a bit of a more major clean-up exercise now. So I'm not sure, but I'll be sure to be airing the place when I get there and airing it thoroughly. I booked the Airbnb because there are 2 accommodation providers in town here. I called the first one, and he said, "Está cerrado," closed. We're closed. So I thought, oh, that's fine. I called the second one. That person also said, "Está cerrado." And I'm thinking, oh, have I called the same place twice? But I didn't. And then he said vacaciones, so which is holidays. So it's a holiday today or something. Seems a bit odd because normally you'd want accommodation open when there is a holiday, but that's just the way it is. So those 2 accommodation places didn't turn out for me, but I've got the excitement of Airbnb that's just been frequented by a honeymoon couple, so looking forward to that. I actually just forgot to talk about the walk today, which is why I'm here, from Monestario to Fuente to Cantos. A good walk, 21 kilometres, so not a long walk, and an easy walk. Good trails that you can look around and look at the surroundings without the risk of, or without a great risk of tripping over. Relatively flat, some sort of minor undulations here and there. Mind you, I think I've walked in perfect conditions today. It's probably mid-20s, and there's a lovely breeze out there, or in fact it blew the cobwebs out of me at one stage, but I would say that's perfect condition for walking today. So all in all, another enjoyable day on the Via de la Plata. Good morning. It's 7:30. I think a perfect time to start walking. It's going to go dark here for a little bit. Apologies for that. Had a great night's sleep last night. Dinner was probably not overly ideal. Being a Sunday, it's not a lot of places that are open. I did find a bar that was open, and ordered a beer and asked the chap, did he have any food? To which he tossed me a bag of crisps. So I had that with my beer, and it was delicious. And then I came home and had some cheese, had some tuna, and had some chocolate. So that's the meal of a walker. Maybe I could have planned it a bit better, but anyway, I think I've got enough energy to get through, and I think there are a few towns we're walking through today. Today's walk, Fuente to Cantos, through to Zafra. So not a huge walk, 24.6 kilometres I think, and I suspect it's still going to be on those open plains, so fairly easy walking. Well, fingers crossed. Sky looks clear. There are some grey clouds actually when I'm heading toward there, but I think we'll be right for the day. Speak to you soon. Said it before probably, and I will probably say it again as well. It's just wonderful walking in the morning. Body's refreshed, temperature's low, sun's not glaring yet. It's yeah, very tranquil out here. This is a good quality unmade road. It follows essentially the path of the freeway, which is off to the right here. You may not make out on the camera there. There's a tiny bull, or actually it must be a huge bull, up on the freeway advertising one of the local, I think, spirits that are available. Little solar farm there in the distance, and that's toward the east where the sun's working its way into the sky. So very light breeze, but yeah, very nice. Had the company of a couple of dogs, but fortunately they were behind fences, so I was safe. In fact, they look very friendly indeed, but anyway. It's just gone past 8:30, sun's up. You can see my shadow there, sort of. A bike rider passing. Buenos. So you see, I don't have it all to myself. There's always someone around, which is I don't know, reassuring or not, but yeah, I mean, you're never that far really. That's the next village ahead, from memory, Calzada de los Barros. And that's been a very easy walk, a great morning walk. I saw a couple of local ladies out for a walk in the morning on this path here, and it's a great facility that they've got this well set back from the main freeway, where people can enjoy this, and obviously commute between the towns and whatever, which are relatively close together. So welcome to Calzada de los Barros. Just making our way through the streets here, very tranquil. Met a couple of the locals, very friendly. This looks like the square. Oh look, gee, I am peckish. Maybe pick up one of these oranges under this tree here. Let me just get you out of the sun a bit. There we go. Look at that. I didn't know they put on breakfast for me today. It's very nice. And obviously they're Shin Town Hall. Yeah, very nice, very pleasant. Very sleepy. As I said, I'll just get my sunscreen on and we'll push on to the next town. Well, we've departed Calzada de los Barros, and yeah, just taking the road out of town here. I think we're going to cross that major freeway soon, and then it's about 14 k's to the next town, which you won't see on the video here, but I think I can see it somewhat there in the distance, right? Well, road walking again, but actually this is the old road I think I'm walking on, and the new road's just next to us there to the right. I do think it crosses at some stage, but this is not too bad going at this point in time. In fact, in terms of road walking, this is as good as it gets. You don't actually want to be physically on the main road. The cars just go so quickly, and you'd hate for an accident to happen. It's good in some cases. And the tractor, hopefully he's not coming down here. Christ, he's coming down here. There we go. Buenos exciting, but you see on this sign here it's a little confusing. Yeah, we don't be walking on that road. So yeah, sometimes you can tell me what that means. Anyway, it could mean I've got to pass over to that path there, but I'll check the tracking app and come back to you before I get too lost. Yes, so we're not lost. That sign back there was telling me to turn left and take that left path that I thought the tractor was going to go on. But anyway, all good. I probably should cover this off now. I mean, there are so many good apps out there today to help just guide you. I know that there's this puritanic view of walking, and you think of the pilgrims and what they had to go through, right? And I'm the first one to admit that what I'm experiencing is miles different from that. I have good gear, I have good shoes, we're connected in terms of accessibility to radio and data the entire time, or pretty much the entire time. So with that comes obviously the luxuries of these tracking apps, and so far the signage for this walk has been, I think, pretty good. If I've lost the trail, it's probably more so due to my lack of concentration than it is to the signage. And I really just use the app as just a bit of a backup, a ready reckoner. If I'm feeling I'm sort of off skew, I sort of missed a turn off yesterday and did about half a kilometre off the trail. I can see where I am and come back on the track. So look, there are a lot of apps out there. I don't have a particular interest in any of them. The one I use is one called All Trails. It works very well. It's a great app if you enjoy walking, because you can pick a location and you can basically ask the app to show you walks in that location. So it's really good. It's like an ongoing menu of walks. For example, I used it the other day in Seville to do a walk of the town. So it's sort of very convenient. Is it lazy using a thing like that? Well, yes and no, I suppose. You could look at a paper map and whatever, but it's just sometimes easier to just use these guides, and in some cases they also will provide explanations of the areas that you're seeing, or the attractions that you're looking at and whatever. So all trails have a map for the Via de la Plata, and to date it seems to have been pretty good, pretty accurate, and it has helped me on a few occasions. So it's definitely nice to have there just as a backup in case you do stray, and helps you in those situations where the signage is maybe a little confusing, just to keep you on the right track. But as I say, I think there are other applications out there that you can use for this tracking as well. So that's my 2 cents worth on that topic. Some acreage of grapes here. It's quite a vineyard indeed. I've been quite impressed with this fence that they've put around it as well. It looks very secure. It looks like the sort of fence you'd put around a prison. So obviously they're nervous about the grapes escaping. Again, very pleasant walking here. Just basically gentle rolling hills. Path quality good. Little rockier. Probably just got to watch where you do step here. Yeah, nice place to be. Plenty of birds about. I just got spooked by one that was just in that trench off to the left there. I think I might have been coming up on it very quietly and didn't notice I was there, and it ripped out of the grasses there very rapidly. How picturesque is that? And again, I feel like I have it all to myself, which is a real privilege. Just a wonderful colour there. The greens and the rustic colours on the grapevines, the greens of the olive trees, and then the grapevines in the distance there, some yellows showing through. Even the colour of that little villa there, sort of mustard against the red soil behind. It's hundreds of different colours and tones out there to see. Just a wonder to take in. And that's a good thing about walking. You can take it in and you've got time to take it in. It's just lovely. Beauty of those hills in the distance. That beautiful quarry there where they've cut half of it away. But that's progress for you. Yeah, that's food for the soul, this sort of stuff. Well, welcome to our next town. This is Puebla de Sancho Perez. So this is the village of Sancho Perez. And again, very quaint. But nicely maintained as usual. Just make our way through the town. It's amazing, a lot of these villages, yeah, you literally walk straight through them. So it's the one path that enters the town is pretty much the exact same path that exits the town. Just approaching one of the plazas here, you can just make out the church in the distance. I think some sort of carnival here. They've got the carnival lights up and the flags. It's been a lovely way into town. There hasn't been one car on this road the entire time. Juzgado de Mayores. So this is the central village here. And a supermercado and a pharmacy behind us. And you know, as happens in Europe, right, an enormous church to support the community here. Now it is just a bit of road walking to Zafra, but look, it's actually got a nice path here off on the side, so it feels pretty good, right? And considering what the wonders of the past we've had earlier today, there's no complaints from me. Pretty little town, that one, actually. But looking forward to seeing Zafra, which is supposed to be quite beautiful as well. Just making my way through the outer suburbs of Zafra. I suspect this is the largest city since we left Seville. And it's a relatively short walk. From the last stop there, it's a relatively short walk into town. Yeah, it's only about a 3 or 4k walk. Greetings from Zafra. I stopped off on the way through into town into a supermarket where I've just grabbed a salad and some fish and whatever for lunch. I'm just sitting in one of the parks on the way through to the centre of town, which I'll check out later. Today's walk was, yeah, a really good walk. It was it's an easy walk, it's level, the surfaces are all good, so you can move through relatively quickly. And so yeah, very happy with that. Looking forward to seeing a bit of downtown Zafra today as well. But overall, yeah, just a very pleasant day's walk. Again, I've had perfect weather. I can't complain. Actually, the sun's coming out now. There was a fair bit of cloud earlier, which was actually quite pleasant to walk through. Yeah, I've been blessed with fantastic weather so far. But you know, look, there will be some rain at some stage, and that's just how it is, right? Okay, I might shoot some images later and share those from the centre of Zafra. Good morning. Just heading out of the plaza now. Hotel was just at the end of the plaza there near the pine trees. Hotel Palmeiras. And yeah, on our way past the cathedral and out of town. Another good night's sleep. Nice and quiet actually. There's the cathedral just here. You might just see it up there in the distance. There we go. There's some blue sky. It's just turned, what's the time? 7:45. We've just seen our first arrows, so we're on the way out correctly. I actually pre-walked a bit of this yesterday. I went out and got some groceries, so I seem to know where I'm going at the moment. We're off to Villefranca de los Barros today. From Zafra, it's only a shorter walk, 20 k's. I suspect again we'll be heading over those plains and crop plains. So let's see, it should be relatively similar to yesterday, but time will tell. Other than that, feel good. It's actually not a bad thing having some shorter days in there. We're getting up to a week into the walk now, and you know, there is that acclimatisation that you go through, even though you might have done a fair bit of walking before your adventure. You know, with the backpack and the heat and all this sort of other stuff that's going on, right, it just does take the body some time to acclimatise. So I think it takes normally between 7 and 10 days. That's been my experience on my past 2 walks. So in a way, I'm looking forward to the next couple of days because you know, by that time I should really be in full walking mode, and obviously as should my colleagues also who are doing this walk at the same time. And I know that I do have some big days ahead coming up, longish days, so they will be obviously quite telling. Anyway, so I'll find my way out of town and we'll hook up soon. Just making our way out of town here, up a bit of an incline. Very quiet. Haven't seen any other pilgrims today, so I don't know whether I've missed the boat again, whether they're out early or whatever, but I think our group is relatively small though. It's only maybe less than 12 people, so I think we're all fairly well spread out. The thing I have noticed here too, interestingly, is that when the Spanish people drive on their roads, they seem to drive pretty quickly. Some of them do. These are the country roads, but then, and they're the made roads, but when they drive on unmade roads, those paths that I've been walking on, they drive really slowly. It's quite respectful, so it's like they're not wanting to stir up much dust. I think they do around 30 kilometers an hour, and these roads are obviously not policed. You know, they're not being monitored, but I really respect that in a way that they very much stick to the laws. Maybe the laws are there to, in terms of speeding on those unmade roads, to keep the dust levels down, and obviously the roads also then last longer because they're not being ripped up. All I know is that at home, some of us tend to roar along those unmade roads. So yeah, it's just been sort of interesting. But when I've seen cars approaching or have been overtaken by the very occasional vehicle, that they're actually travelling really slowly, and it's not because I'm walking, they're just travelling slowly because that's what they do on unmade roads here, which is, yeah, quite responsible. So we're reaching, or sort of, I think we're headed for that peak up there. The road's coming around the front of that rise there where the tower is, and going over. Listen to those dogs. Did you hear that? That's a bit of a worry. Let's hope they're on the other side of the fence. Goodness me, they are going hell for leather, those animals. Hang on, I can see the farmer at the door there to the building. You probably won't see that on the camera, but he's about to literally release the hounds. Okay, well look, I might need my sticks at the ready when these dogs start attacking me. I don't think they will attack me. There's quite a substantial fence there, you can see. I'm only joking, but yeah, let's hope the dogs are okay. Oh, there's some in a fenced area just there. No, they seem fine. And there's my arrow. They're just in there. Oh no, they're young dogs just having a bit of fun. Probably dreaming about eating their next pilgrim. Okay, speak soon. Well, we're just coming into our first village, Los Santos de Maimoma. I think, Los Santos de Maimoma. And sort of crossed over, oh, it's a small hill behind us here. I'm just coming into town. A chap ploughing his field here with a tractor, but yeah, that's pretty, isn't it? Just sitting in the valley there. And you can just make out in the centre there the church. Just leaving Los Santos de Maimoma. I think a very friendly town. I mean, obviously when you walk as your own, a lot of people tend to talk to you and they say good morning and whatever, which is fine. But yeah, it just had a very good feel about it, that town, and bigger than I thought, actually. It took quite a while to walk through. But yeah, it's lovely. Kids off to school. And yeah, just everybody had an older chap who was walking up the road toward me, who entered his property but waited at the whoops, before I get run over here, waited at his doorstep till I approached, which, you know, and then wished me a good walk, and yeah, just very nice. No, it's didn't have a very tight-knit community here. It says I don't have friends on this walk. Do you believe it? Well, apart from pigs in the farm just here, look at this. Two beautiful peacocks who are busting to get into that property there. Unfortunately, now they've separated. Gee, lovely plumage. Oh. So, oi! That's the way you get in. Use your wings. Use your wings. Some excitement on the Via de la Plata. The two birds are separated. Oh, and that one's well over there now in the distance. You probably can't, right on the edge of that building there. So he, I'll hazard a guess, has flown a long way. I wonder why it hasn't occurred to the other one to use their wings. Sometimes it's the simple things in life that sometimes just evade us. And perhaps maybe a topic for today is water. And look, there are heaps and heaps of clips on people who have walked many caminos, and I am definitely an infant in this regard. But look, water is important to carry. It's a bit of a pain because unfortunately it's pretty heavy, and backpacks being what they are, I think your backpack is always heavier than you'd like it to be. There's a, if you believe it, there's a van coming this way. Hang on a moment. We'll just wait till he goes while we eat dust for a while. I'll just pull off the road to avoid any chance of being squashed. Lovely. Nothing like the peace and tranquility of a walk. And of course at the moment, it's, what's the time now? 9:30. Those afternoon breezes haven't cut in yet, so we're going to live through some of his dust for a while. Yeah, unfortunately water is heavy, and I think with backpacks, a backpack is always heavier than you'd like it to be. But whereas, look, obviously you can actually do without food. You just cannot do without water, and you know, particularly for longer stretches where you don't have access to towns and refills, water refills, or shops to get more fluids. Yeah, the only option is to carry it. I've been very fortunate here. So far, the weather's been very mild. This is a trail that can get very high temperatures, which would mean you need to carry a lot of water. For the walk the other day, the longer walk, the 33k walk, my backpack bladder can hold, I think if I fill it full, about 2.5 litres, and then I've got 2 1-litre containers I carried as well, so that's 4.5 litres. And for that walk on that day, which was mildish weather, I would say, for this region, I was fine. I did refill the bladder, the backpack bladder, during the walk with the water containers. But yeah, you just want to make sure you're carrying enough, and look, you're better off to have too much water than too little, because then you'll get headaches and other associated issues. You can also dose up on water in the morning, and then obviously when you get to your destination as well, rehydrate. One thing as well, if you're walking on your own, as I am this time, a bladder is really great because it's very accessible. The mouthpiece is essentially just next to my neck here, and I can drink water regularly, which is important. There are, if you're relying on the holsters in your backpack, look, unless you're a ballerina or double jointed, they could be problematic in that you've got to always take your backpack off or sling your backpack around to get access to them, and that in itself can be just a tiring exercise because your backpacks are heavy. I think this one with water fully laden is probably 15 kilos, and that does throw you around a bit. So of course, then what we do, we say, well, look, no, I'll go a bit further on and then drink later, and you just don't want that. You want to be able to drink when you're thirsty, drink regularly, and be hydrating regularly. So either get one of those holders if you don't have a bladder, backpack bladder, then get a front holster for your backpack where you can have a water bottle accessible easily. Obviously, if you're walking with a partner or others, then that's not so much of an issue because you can just help each other get access to your bottles. But I found the bladder really good, really convenient, and it really does help you stay hydrated on a regular basis, and that's exactly why they invented them in the first place, and they work really, really well. So, and even if you're traveling with a partner, you still may decide to take a bladder. You've got to be able to carry a fair bit of water on this hike, or this walk. So maybe that's the answer in any case. because they lay fairly flat in the backpack, and they do spread the water over a bigger area, so they're quite convenient. Okay, so that's probably the words of wisdom today, but I must say that I'm no veteran at this sort of stuff, but yeah, you do want to make sure you stay hydrated during the walk. I think it will make your walk a far more enjoyable experience. Just some slower going here. You can see on this path it's a lot more rutted and rocky than we've seen. In fact, I think they've had a lot of rain here, because there have been pools of water on this path, and obviously the water's ripped through between the rocks and created channels and the like. So yeah, you can still move through it relatively quickly, but yeah, it's just it's not as manicured as what we've had so far, but still quite fine, and to all intents and purposes pretty much level. Just in the distance there, I think we can see our next destination, La Almazara, I believe. La Almazara, but I think that's probably another 45 minutes away from here. You can just, well, probably in the camera, you can probably just make it out on the horizon there. And behind that I can see some lovely looking mountains. So we're heading north at the moment, so I would suspect that will be a tasty morsel for us the next day or so. Just noticed on the walk into Almazara there have been a couple of ruins. I took a photo of the previous one, which was quite significant, and you can see one here on the right, sorry, as we're coming up. I don't know what they are. I don't know whether they were chapels. They look quite elaborate, and obviously there's been a fair bit of work gone into them. Maybe they were homesteads. I assume they're not used for holding grain or anything like that. They look just too fancy for that. Anyway, this is the third one I've seen just on the walk on the way in. That's effectively shooting into the sun, so that's not going to look too good. But you can see through there, there's like arched walkways, and I wonder if they were old churches. Anyway. Okay, the walk into town here is really on the road, unfortunately. There are some very big trucks on this road, so fortunately it's nice and quiet at the moment, and there are notifications, and look, some of the trucks pull out wide and you know, give you plenty of space, so which is really nice of them, right? But obviously it's just how it is on the walks, you know, to connect everything up. You sometimes got to do a bit of road walking, and this one is on a fairly major road actually. But look, you know, you can see the track here is what, about 5 feet wide, almost 2 meters. So it's not too bad. In fact, there's my path over there into town. So I'm just going to Scarpa here quickly, and we're off the road again, which is great. So yeah, the lovely Spanish people have done a fantastic job in putting these paths in such a way, and the interconnections in such a way as that they have minimised the time that you need to spend on roads like that. And so this is a perfect secondary road to take us into town now. Well, you'll be happy to know that we missed Almazara totally. It's in there somewhere. There was a turn, well, there were markings in, would you believe it, 2 directions, right? So I followed what I thought was the right one, and also the one that's on my mapping app, and sure enough, it's bypassed the town completely, so we won't be seeing that at all on this walk. And here comes another tractor. So we're on our way to Villefranca de los Barros. I think it's only about 7 k's up or 6 k's from here, so we should be there pretty soon in any case. And there's Villefranca de los Barros. Actually, that looks like a big town as well. Nestled there in this little valley here. Sort of, you'll not see this on the camera there, but you can make out the churches off almost on the far right there, on the far left. I'm getting the directions mixed up today. On the far left there. Yeah, so it's a decent sized town as well. Well, welcome to Villefranca de los Barros. Just coming into town there, it looks like it's a town that's grown a bit too quickly, so it's quite interesting. Had schools next to a big market centre, a big marketplace, but now this feels more older town, more centro. Very pretty, nicely done here. Beautiful stonework on the paths here in the town. And I think it's a town of music. There was schools of music, and on the ground here you'll see various instruments. There's a clarinet or something. There's a lovely tone of a jackhammer in the background. Never in the history of the Via de la Plata has anybody been as comfortable as I am. A shorter day today. All gone well, tracks are good, bit rockier today, a bit harder today, but no, I got here quite early, skipped the town even, didn't even know, took the wrong turn, which wasn't ideal, but now I'm having, as I say, menu del dia, and looking forward to it. I've washed my clothes, and I'll check out town later on today. Ciao. It's just before 7:30. Just heading back up to the, don't know whether it's an iglesia or a cathedral, where we'll head off on our walk today to Torremejia. So Villefranca de los Barros to Torremejia, distance of about, I think, 27.5 kilometres. So I'm up a little earlier. So there might be a little bit of darkish walking, but we should be okay. Everything's fine, had a good night's sleep. So yeah, just some of the stores are opening here, or some of the staff are turning up for the banks. And yeah, a bit of had plenty of spare time yesterday afternoon just to follow up on things because of the shorter walk, but not a problem there. Okay, I'll speak with you from the walk. Ciao. Well, that's a bit of a worry. You might just see behind me there is an enormous amount of electrical, now it's happening behind me, back in town there. There is an enormous amount of electrical activity happening towards where I'm walking, which is just wonderful. But I assume that that lightning and thunder is over Torremejia at the moment. You can see a couple of flashes there. So we may get a little bit of rain today. I've got a poncho at the ready and yada yada yada. It just, you know, it is what it is, right? It's not cold though, so you know that humidity is obviously encouraging this electrical activity here. But yeah, it's a little confronting. I've seen some absolute rippers, so it's actually quite beautiful in a strange way. But anyway, I thought I'd share that. Well, this is very flat here. Still that thunderstorm activity in the distance. You can see where the rain's dumping on the far hills there. And even straight ahead you can see where it's dumping there, definitely slightly off to the left, which, knowing my luck, is probably where we're headed today. Never know. Look, at walking pace though, might be lucky. It could rain itself out before we get there. But yeah, it's actually spectacular because you're walking at a fairly slow pace. You can just see this performance in front of us happening all the time here. It's quite exciting, quite exhilarating actually. Obviously, as long as that lightning doesn't get near my poles, I'll be very happy. Just cruising along here on the straights. You might hear a bit of thunder. Interestingly, this is toward the east. You can see the sun trying to get through there, and this is behind us. And I'm not sure, but I think it could be, I don't know what way it sort of moves here. Hopefully it's moving across. The lightning activity ahead has pretty much ended, but you can still see there's rain falling on those hills there and patches of rain there. So look, so far haven't had a drop, so that's not too bad in a way. Just stopped for a break, morning tea. Been going now for about 2 hours. I'll just pan around. You can see the countryside. One of the other walkers is pushing on. Oh, we saw a bit of lightning just then. You might have seen that. But there was a farmer earlier, and I stopped and had a bit of a chat with him. And he showed me the weather radar, and look, who knows, we might be very lucky, but we might just have all the storms essentially work around us, and we might end up avoiding it. Definitely over those hills over there in the distance are catching a lot of weather. We're on a very straight section of this road at the moment, literally as far as the eye can see, so definitely you can put it in cruise control here and just walk straight ahead. Have been a few droplets of rain, but nothing to worry about at this stage, and definitely the sky to this side, where the weather seems to be coming from, seems to be clearer than, for example, the sky over there I'll show you that. I mean, the skies are just beautiful at the moment. Thought it might be an idea as well. Just talk about the Via de la Plata, the actual road itself. I'm no expert in this area, so if any of this is slightly incorrect, then please forgive me. But obviously there were roads running north-south, built by the Spanish thousands of years ago, for trade, for obviously a movement of families, nomadic families, whatever it might have been. Then obviously, I think around, excuse the dates here, around 200 BC, saw the emergence of Roman occupation, and the Romans, being what the Romans are, they capitalised on the work of the Spanish, but obviously then applied their own engineering capability, which was obviously quite substantial and perhaps revolutionary at that time, to build this road. Indeed, the original Via de la Plata ran from Merida, which is essentially straight ahead. In fact, we'll be in Merida tomorrow. So it ran from Merida 470 kilometres to Astorga. And of those who have walked the Camino Francis would know that Astorga is one of the towns that you pass through. It's got some Gaudi inspired buildings there. So look, could you argue that this is the Via de la Plata because I actually haven't got to Merida yet? I'm not sure, but obviously the route is defined as such. The name Via de la Plata came about, I think, around about 1500 or something, the common name for it, and it was a route that was used by pilgrims to get to Santiago de Compostella. And actually, plata in Spanish means silver, so this is essentially termed the Silver Road, though it was never used for movement of precious metals per se. It actually happened that the term was sort of like a colloquial derivation of previous names that the Romans had applied to the road, and it somehow just got blended into the word plata. Sort of like those Indian whispers type games, I suppose. But so yeah, we're on the Silver Road now. It's very old. I actually don't know whether I'm on the Silver Road right now. Who knows? Because, as I said earlier, I think the Romans did such a great job in, and obviously the original Spanish did such a great job in defining the route per se. You may find it's where the main roads now travel, simply because of the way the road directs through, obviously, the countryside, the hills and the like. So we may be sometimes off the Via de la Plata, but I'm hoping that once we do hit Merida through Caceres, where there is obviously evidence of Roman occupation, clear evidence of Roman occupation, we may even see some sections of the original road. So anyway, fingers crossed. But anyway, that's in a nutshell. I've probably got it all wrong, so if that's the case, then as I say, I apologise. But yeah, it's nice to know the origins, and nice to sort of think that we're walking on something that is indeed very, very old. Cheers. You won't be able to see that, but There's workers in the field there hand harvesting the grapes and then lifting the containers into the back of the trailer there behind the tractor. That would be tough work. Holy moly. Just plugging on here. Weather's still, it's perfect conditions. It's sort of, it's not cold, it's just coolish, and there's a light breeze and the sun's obscured. Looks like the rain in the distance has stopped. You won't see this on the camera there, but on the film. But Torremejia, you can see it up ahead there, the white buildings. Somewhat at the foot of those mountains, just off, as we're looking, just off to the left of this path up there. So within sight, I've feasted, literally a degustation. I had roll with sardines, very nice, Spanish sardines, nuts, fruit, cheese, and I might just have some chocolate, and I'll wash that down with some lovely Spanish water. It doesn't get much better than this. Very quiet, apart from that drone of some industrial complex off in the distance there. You might even just hear over here the rustling of the leaves. That'd have to be a very sensitive microphone to pick that up, but yeah, sitting here, it's apparent. So it's just wonderful. The other thing I'm thinking, I mean, again, I've been blessed. I've got very good weather for this walk today, right? It's literally perfect for walking. If you were doing this on a hot day, blaring sun and the like, it would be hard going. The walking is easy, it's flat, straight, whatever, so there's none, the paths are, the roads are good quality. It just, there's no reprieve from that sun. You'd have to camp out under an olive tree, of which there are plenty. Some aren't as big as you'd like, but yeah, there's not much shade on this particular stretch, and it is essentially one stretch through to Torremejia, from Villefranca to Los Barros. So there is, I think, off on the right, I did see it there, there is another village, and you can break the walk into two. It looks, I assume, about halfway, by peeling off to the left there, if you wanted to, if indeed the weather was oppressive. But fortunately, no, we've had great weather today, so I can't complain. Really nice, and I'm all fatted up after lunch now, and I think I've probably got, what's the time now? Hang on, just excuse me. It's 12:30, so I've probably got another hour or so to get in Torremejia, and plan for tomorrow's activities. There's Torremejia there in the distance, just in front of the larger of the mountains there on the right hand side. Yeah, probably, I don't know, maybe a 45-minute walk from here, but no, it's still going well. Still surrounded by grapevines, and the weather's holding out nicely. Welcome to Torremejia. Not the easiest place to find around. I got lost getting in here, and I have to be honest, I haven't seen one Camino arrow. I'm supposed to be coming up on my accommodation down here, and this is supposed to be on the Camino or the Via de la Plata, but I haven't seen an arrow to date, so maybe not since I've come into town. Now I'm using obviously the mapping app at the moment, which is sort of getting me there, but it's interesting, the signage hasn't been overly fantastic, but we will get there as always, right? The Camino provides. There's plenty of restaurants and eateries around, so that looks all good. So there shouldn't be, oh, that could be my hotel just over there behind that garbage bin. Habitaciones. Oh no, Millennium Hotel just here. Look at that. I tell you what, I reckon it gets hot out here some days. It just has that feel about it. It feels like it could be stinking hot here some days. Interesting though. To look at this. Hope this is my hotel, because the front door is shut, so this will be interesting today. That doesn't look very open to me, and this one here looks even worse. Methinks I could be in trouble. I booked this one via telephone, so anyway, we'll see how we go.